Hi everyone, welcome to day 6 of Unit 1B. Today we're going to be talking about simple interest, and let's go ahead and get started. So, vocab. Simple interest is the amount of money paid for borrowing money. So, if you ask to borrow money from someone, they could say, yeah, of course I'll loan you that money, but you have to pay it back. And you have to pay interest on it, meaning that in addition to the money that you borrowed, you're going to have to pay them extra money because you kind of inconvenienced them. You took their money away. So that's how they make money off of it. Interest is a way of making extra money from borrowing money. Okay? We use the letter I to denote that. Principal is the original amount of money borrowed or invested. Okay? So if you're borrowing money, that's the principal amount. So you get to pay back the principal and then the interest as well. You could also invest it. That's how much you can put into a bank or something. Banks pay interest for their money because essentially they're borrowing your money. Okay? And we use the letter P to denote that. Rate is the percentage that the interest is going to be paid back. So if you borrowed someone's money, they might say, yeah, you can use it, you get to pay it back, and then 5% of it. Okay? So it's a percentage that they're going to use to symbolize the interest. Okay? And when we use the rate, when we're going to use it mathematically, we have to change it to a decimal. Okay? So it's always going to be a percentage that we're going to need to change to a decimal. And we always use the letter R to denote that. Finally, time is how long the money was borrowed or invested for. And just like how long did you let it borrow, so you can figure out how much interest you're earning. This always has to be given in years. Okay, so sometimes a problem might say like, oh, it was over 6 months. We have to change that to years, so that was half of a year, 0.5 years. Okay, so, and we use T for time. Okay, so when we're trying to calculate simple interest, we actually have a formula that we're going to use. And it is the interest equals the principal times the rate as a decimal times the time in years. You multiply that all together, you're going to get how much interest was earned, the amount of money that was earned for it. Okay? And a way to remember this formula is I pretty. It kind of looks like a license plate saying I pretty, right? So that's one way you can kind of remember how the formula goes. I pretty. So example 1, Chris deposited, so meaning he put it in there, $2,000 into his savings account at an interest rate of 4% per year. How much simple interest will be earned over 6 months? Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to go through and find our pieces of the formula. They will always give you 3 out of the 4 things. Okay? You just have to find the 4th. So, investing the $2,000 or depositing the $2,000, that is actually our principal. Okay? The interest rate of 4%, that is our rate. Okay? And finally, the time was the 6 months. So that's our T. So now I'm going to take those things that I found in the formula, in the word problem, and I'm just going to write it out. So, where did I put it? I wrote it somewhere. Oh, here. Interest, they didn't really tell. That's what they're asking for, the simple interest. So we don't know, so I just put a question mark for now. Principal we know is $2,000. The rate we know is 4%, but we need to change that percentage to a decimal. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to move it over 2 spaces. So my rate is actually 0.04. Okay? And time is 6 months, but again, I have to change that because we don't want months, we want years. 6 months is half of a year. So I just divide it by 12, and I get 0.5. Anytime they give you months, if you just divide it by 12, you'll get how many years. Okay? So I'm going to use 0.5 years. So now I'm just going to go ahead and fill in this formula. I don't know, so I'm going to leave it as I. P, I do know. R, I know. T, I know. So I go ahead and fill those things in. Okay? And now all I have to do is just multiply these 3 numbers together, and I'll get my interest. So I multiply 2,000 times 0.04 times 0.5, and the interest is $40. So you put in 2,000, He just left it in the bank account for 6 months and he earned $40 just by leaving it alone. Okay? So now you guys are going to try this one on your own. I would set it up exactly how I did. Circling or color coding, whatever, the parts that you need, listing all 4 variables or letters and filling them in as you go, and that way you can fill in the formula. Okay? So you guys are going to try that one on your own. You can either pause the video now or come back to it. It's up to you. Okay? The next example, I'm going to close that, is Sophia invested $1,500 at an annual rate of 5%. How much interest will Sophia earn in 15 years? So I go through. Invested, that's my principal amount. Okay? The rate is 5%. That's my R. In 15 years, that's my time. Where's my T there? Okay, so now I'm going to go fill in those like 4 letters. I don't know because that's what they want to know. How much interest. P I know is 1,500. R I know is 5%, but I need to change that to a decimal. So I go ahead and change it to a decimal to be 0.05. And time is 15 years, and they gave it to me in years, so I don't need to change it. So now I'm going to fill in the formula I equals PRT. I don't know the I do know the P, the R, and the T, so I fill it in. Okay, so now I just go ahead and I multiply those 3 numbers. So multiply together, I get 1,125. That is the interest that Sophia will earn. Okay, now you guys are going to try it for Maria, who does the exact same thing, except she has a different interest rate. Okay, and she did it for a different amount of years. See what she'll earn if she invests the same amount of money. You're also going to try on your own with Lance. Okay, and see how much Lance deposited. Actually, we're going to do this try on your own together. I don't like this one here. Which means I didn't type any of this thing. Actually, you guys are going to try this on your own. Give it a try. We'll go over it in class. I'll give you a hint, though. You have the rate. You actually do have the year. First year. Okay? 1 year. And you have the interest. Okay? You're trying to figure out how much he deposited. So that's how much did he put in the bank. You're trying to find your principal. So give that one a try as well. Example 3, Mr. Johnson wrote a check of $7,820 to pay off interest for a loan. It should say interest. Which was given to him at a rate of 5%. Simple interest for 3 years. How much did he originally borrow? So again, I need to figure out the principal. Okay? Here I was given the interest. The rate is 5%. So that's my R. Where's the R? There. And 3 years was my time. Okay? I put a T somewhere. Maybe I didn't. Yeah, I did. Here. Sorry. So now I'm going to go ahead and fill in those 4 letters. So I equals 7,820. P, I don't know because that's what I want to know. How much did he originally borrow? The principal. R is 5%, which I need to change. So I change that to a decimal, 0.05. And time is 3 years, so I don't need to change it because it's already in years. So now I'm going to plug it into the formula. I know I is 7,820. I don't know what P is, but I know the rate and the time. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to multiply these numbers together so I can get one number. So 0.05 and 3 together make 0.15. Now, to find out what P is, I'm going to get rid of this 0.15 by dividing both sides by 0.15. That will cancel it out. So what I'm left with is the principal is $52,133.33. That is how much he originally borrowed. Okay? So now you guys are going to try this one on your own, and you can go back to the try on your own above it because it's set up the same way. Okay? Finally, last one. Mr. Burns has a principal of $60,000, so we know that's our principal. and an annual interest rate of 6%. So we know that's our R. How much money will he have after 3 years? So that's our time. Now, it also says after 3 years. Not how much interest he'll have after 3 years, how much money. Okay? So that's a little different than what we've seen. So I'm going to do the same thing because I want to know how much interest he got, because that's going to be part of his money. So I go ahead and set up my things. So principal is $60,000. Rate is 6%, which I need to change to 0.06. Time is 3 years. I do not know my interest, so I'm going to find that. I'm going to use I equals PRT and plug in what I have. Now I can just go ahead and multiply these three numbers together, and I get 10,080 or 800. That is the interest. Okay? But the question asks, how much money will he have after 3 years? So he'll have this, but he'll also have the original investment, the principal. So what I need to do to find out the total is I'm going to add the principal plus the interest. Okay? So 60,000 plus the 10,800. After 3 years, Mr. Burns will have $70,800. And that is my final answer. Okay? $70,800 after 3 years. Okay, so you guys are going to try these last two on your own. And these are asking for totals. Okay, when it says after the amount of years, that's when they want to know how much they have total. Okay? So go ahead and give those a try. If you have questions, write them down. We will go over them next class. Other than that, I will see you guys next time. Okay? Bye.